Hello, thank you for coming to my channel, either for the first time or coming back. This is my second video on this channel. Before we get into today's piece of art or craft, I just wanted to show you a few different variations of the shell angels that we made last time. Just so you can see some different versions. This one is my favorite. I decoupaged some scrapbook paper, or no, this was, yeah, it was scrapbook paper onto the dress. And then you can also make different animals as well. This one's an owl. So I want to continue playing around with these to see the different things I can make. But on to this week's video. So today we are going to be making a mixed media piece. We're going to do pour painting for the base, and then we are going to make a flower out of scrapbook paper and paint. So these are the supplies you'll need. Some Floetrol that I believe I got for $10, I think, on Amazon. And we'll need some acrylic paint, a mix of colors. I'd say 3 or more colors. I'm doing green as the background since I'm doing a flower, but you could do whatever colors you want. We'll need some little cups, one bigger cup, some water, some, let's see, something to stir the paint with, because we're going to be making it at the right consistency, some scissors, Mod Podge, I always say that wrong, and some scrapbook paper of your choosing. I got these on Amazon a while back. I don't remember what I searched for to find these, but I've used them a lot. They go a long way. I really like them. So first we are going to make our pour paint. If you don't want to do this whole process, if you're not into pour painting, you can just skip this whole first part and just paint your canvas whatever color you want. It doesn't need to be pour paint. I just thought it would be fun to do this as the base. So you're going to want to make sure you shake the Floetrol before you use it. I'm going to fast forward a lot through this video. I condensed it from 1 hour and 15 minutes of lots of little mishaps along the way, and condensed it down to about, I believe, 25 minutes. So I'm going to fast forward a lot because you don't need to see me stirring paint for 10 minutes. So here I'm just trying to get the right consistency, but to make it simple, I find the best way to do pour paint, to mix it, is to do 2 parts Floetrol, no wait, 1 part Floetrol, 2 parts paint, and then water to the right consistency, and I'll show you here in a little bit the consistency. But honestly, just play around with it. There's so many different ways to oh, here we go. See, I decided to get some plastic spoons because it was easier to tell if it was the right consistency. So you want it to pour a thin line here to easily come off the spoon, and whatever consistency you do it at, Some people like it more runny, some people like it thicker, but you want to make sure that all of your colors that you're doing are the same consistency. That's the most important thing, because if you don't do them the same consistency, they could dry at different times, and then sometimes it kind of does this weird thing on the canvas. So I learned that the hard way in the beginning, to just make sure that whatever the consistency is, they're all the same as each other. So that's the consistency I like. You don't have to use Floetrol. Some people use like white glue. Some people just use water and acrylic paint. I think there's some other, you might even be able to mix it with Mod Podge, I'm not sure. And there I am spilling paint everywhere. Which is not surprising for me. I'm cleaning everything up. Okay, so I came back and got some emotional snack. And yeah, the whole process of making this video, I was a hot mess. I don't know why, but I'm very clumsy, and definitely came out this night. So I'm just gonna fast forward to this part, mixing all the other colors. And actually, I think I just skip ahead soon. Also, you can buy pre-mixed pour paint. So if you don't want to do all this, you can go on Amazon. I've seen it in Hobby Lobby, probably Michael's, Joann's, all those places. You can get pre-mixed pour paint. So literally all you have to do is just pour it out of the bottle. So that's what I did when I first started trying pour paint. But I found that was more expensive than making it myself. And I like making it myself because then I can choose out of any paint color I have. Okay, here I am pouring one color at a time into a larger cup, and I'm doing it, I tilt the cup a little bit and pour it slowly, because I don't want, if I just hold up the cup and just drop it in there, it's not gonna layer like that. It's just gonna all get mixed up, which is a technique you could use, but for this one I wanted to make it layers of paint. Until the end, you'll see I wanted a little bit more of that light green. So this one, I do see how I'm gonna drop it from up high and it goes into that paint, and so it kind of goes all the way through. I just want to do that as a fun little step there. So, and then I add a little bit more white. Now we're going to get our canvas. And again, there are so many different ways to do pour painting. The way you pour it, the way you mix it, the way you layer it. So, but for this one, I'm just going to keep the cup still and just let the paint come out as I've layered it. I love doing greens and blues, but it's good to put a little dark in with, like, do light and dark layers, not all just, and then either add like black or white that way. And then I'm just going to kind of move it around the canvas without letting it go off the edge at first, and then I'm gonna let it go off each edge, just getting it to the place that I like. You want to make sure that you don't leave like an excess amount of paint on the canvas, because that again could cause problems when it's drying. So make sure you're dripping off, all the excess. And so you'll see that I'm taking some paint droppings and rubbing it on the corners and the sides. Sometimes if you don't do that, the paint won't necessarily run down the sides. Something you can also do ahead of time is paint the sides, and that kind of helps the pour paint. Just paint it with acrylic paint, let it dry, and then that kind of helps the pour paint go over the sides sometimes. Or you can put painter's tape on the side if you don't want the paint to kind of flow off the edge and you want to do like a clean line afterward. But here it is up close. I love the way it looks. There's my camera light. I didn't realize it was gonna cause that glare. Alright, so now what we're gonna do, I don't want to just sit it on that paper, because then it's going to get stuck and it's going to get messed up. So I'm elevating it. I'm just using paper cups. You can get, like things on Amazon that are specifically made for this. You can use whatever you want as long as those edges are not touching anything. Alright, so now I've got a heat gun, and I'm just going to turn it on and wave it over the canvas to pop any air bubbles. We don't want this to dry with air bubbles. It's not the end of the world, but it makes it less clean looking. Alright, so now we are going to let this dry. So I came back the next day. It was all dry. If you do that thin layer, it should dry overnight, but just make sure when you come back to it, there are no wet spots. No tackiness. It needs to be completely dry before you do the next step. So just showing you the supplies here again that we're using right now. This is what it looks like dry up close. Now, if you want it to have that shimmery shininess that it had when it was wet paint, once you're all done with the project, you can resin it or do like epoxy over it. But alright, so here I'm showing you what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to cut little flower petals. You can do them as fancy or as simple as you want, but I'm starting with a small size. And then they don't have to be all uniform, but I am going to do like a rough tracing of them on the back, just so I get the right size. So they don't have to look all the same, but they do need to be about the same size as each other, because we're going to do layers with different sizes. So I'm just doing a really rough trace. That way I just make sure I'm not doing it too large. And you'll do that. I think I needed about 10 to 12 petals for each layer, but here I have them all cut out already. And you'll see I did about 5 or 6 different sizes. Yeah. So, alright, so now we have I need to make a circle for the middle of the flower. You can put that anywhere you want on the canvas. I kind of like it off to the side, but you can put it in the middle if you want. It's up to you. So, but here's where I'm going to put mine. Alright. And I apologize, I don't know what I did wrong with the camera here. Maybe because I didn't have that overhead light on, but it looks kind of like you're looking at it through a screen. So I apologize about that. Still figuring out how to make these videos. Alright, so I'm getting some Mod Podge, putting some in a cup. Okay, and then I'm just going to start putting petals around that middle part, which we will be painting later, but I wanted to put all the petals first. So I'm just going to go around that circle with this first size of petals. And I will fast forward here in a second because it did take me a while to complete this process. Alright, so hopefully you can see okay. They don't stand out right now a lot, but we're going to be using paint later to make them stand out more. So the scrap paper I used was like floral and butterfly, which obviously you can't make out, you know, depending on the size of the petal, but I just like the idea of using paper made out of, or paper with flowers on them to make a flower. So I'm just, whenever I do the next layer, I put the petals in between the previous layer. So there we go. And I try to, well, you could do whatever you want. If you wanted to make them all from the same paper, if you want to make each layer a different color scheme, you can really just play around with this. That's why I like this, because you can, you know, decorate it however you want. Now we're getting to the bigger pieces here. So here's my last layer, and you can, yeah, the petals, you know, I'm not super great at making fancy petals, but you can do that if you want. You can, you know, overlap them if you want, however you want to do this. But this is how I am doing it for now. I think that I might try like 3D effect in the future, but I was having enough issues as it was, so I just went for this. Alright, so now I want to, like I said, make the petals stand out more, plus I need to paint that center of the flower. So I'm going to get my tiny paintbrush and a slightly bigger one for the center of the flower. And I had trouble figuring out what colors I wanted to do, but I decided to go more pale yellow with the center. So I'm just gonna get some paint out. Paint that middle part. So this isn't the, it's not a masterpiece. It's not the, most splendid piece of art, but it's fun to make. It's therapeutic, I find anyway. It's a little time consuming. So maybe do this when you have more time on the weekend, but it's nice to just clear your mind and get into the creative zone, I find. Life is stressful. We need an escape. Sometimes. Alright, so now I'm deciding what color to outline the petals in. And I decided to go with a completely different direction than I originally thought. I wanted to make it a darker color because everything else on the canvas is so light. So I'm using this blue. It's kind of shimmery a little bit. And I'm just going to outline. I wish I had done some of these petals with a thinner line. I'm a little heavy-handed. I get a thinner brush later, but I'm going for a thin outline here. And I did one previously where I did a different color outline for each layer, or I outlined only one side of the petal, and that kind of looked cool. So here they are all outlined though, for better or for worse. That's how I did it, and I wasn't satisfied with it. I felt like it was missing something. So I started with painting these sides. I wanted to make it stand out more. So I decided to paint the outside dark blue instead of leaving it that, original pour paint. So there it is with the blue outline, and I did like that, but I still felt like it was missing something. And asked my husband what he thought I should add, and he said gold leaf, which is just proof that we're meant to be together. The fact that he suggested gold leaf. We are of one mind often. Not always, but often. And he's a true artist, so I always go to him for color advice and ask him what I'm missing. He is a digital artist, but he also can draw, and he's really good with colors, so I'm always going to him for advice. So what I just put there was some Mod Podge, and you don't want it to be super wet before you put the gold leaf or gold flakes on. So I'm just drying it a little bit because I want it to be tacky still, but not like wet. And I find out in a minute that I dried it too much, actually. But you want to wait, I mean, the best thing is to put it down and then wait a minute or two and then put the gold leaf, but I was impatient, so that's why I used my heat gun. But I ended up having to go back and apply more Mod Podge. So I'm not, as you can already tell, the best at applying gold leaf. I know there's like a really professional way to do it. I'm too impatient to learn, but like I'll see on YouTube people using it and it looks like amazing the way they do it, but this is how I do it. I'm definitely not a perfectionist, I guess. I mean, I work on my crafts, my art, until it's the way I like it, but they're nowhere near perfect. And I'm always getting messy. So I'm just applying these gold flakes all around, and I feel like they're not meant to be uniform. They're not meant to be, it's kind of like an accent. On cooking shows where they make a fancy dessert and then they put like a little edible gold leaf thing on it? I never understood that until I started using it on my art. I always thought it just looked silly, but I like that, just putting it kind of in random places and not the same, just all random. I'm fast forwarding here again because I spent quite a bit of time getting the amount that I wanted on there. I want it to be random and not too sparse, but I don't want it to be like, overwhelming. So I think I'm almost done here. After I put the gold leaf on there, I was happier, but I still felt like something was missing. So I am about to put some gold glitter on. I am better these days about not going crazy with glitter. I feel like everything is better with glitter, so it's difficult for me to not just throw glitter on everything. It is something I've had to control myself with. Alright, so I'm happy with that amount of gold leaf. And so I'm just going to put some Mod Podge down for the glitter. I don't... here we go. So I I'm gonna lightly sprinkle the glitter, and I'm gonna rub the Mod Podge around with my finger because I don't want there to be like lines of gold glitter. I want it to just be a shimmer across it. So I have this very fine glitter. Again, I got on Amazon. I get most things from Dollar Tree and Amazon. Whenever I can get to Hobby Lobby, I go crazy in that store too. But this I got from Amazon. I like it because it's, like I said, it's just a shimmer. It's not like, chunks of glitter. So I think that's where I end it. Thank you everyone for watching. I know I said these videos would be getting better, but I don't think I accomplished that this time around, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to try to post a video every like Sunday or Sunday night, Monday morning. That's my goal. Next week I think I'm going to do a basket made out of tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree, so I hope you will join me then. Here's a close-up of that, and thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week.